This is a meeting of the Mashpee Sewer Commission on Thursday, September 19th, 2024 at 2 in the afternoon. And we are broadcast live on Mashpee TV, local channel number 8, and high definition channel number 1072. So as I will call the meeting to order, can we come to order? Can we all stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And since this last week was quite an enormous week with us commemorating 9/11, I'd like us to have a moment of silence to give tribute to the first responders and the people that we lost over 9/11. Okay, thank you all. We have, next on our agenda is to have an approval of the minutes, but we don't have minutes from our last meeting, but we will have them for our next meeting, and we'll review them and approve them at that time. Okay, so now we're open for public comment. And so if there are any people who would like to make a public comment, please come forward.
Hi, Chris Ball, Mashpee TV. As many of you know, but on many of you don't know, we now have a high-definition channel, channel 1072, which all these live government meetings that we broadcast will be on. They'll continue to be on channel 8 short-term until Comcast shuts it off. In order to get channel 1072, you will need the X1 box from Comcast, which most of us have. The easiest way to tell if you have one or you don't have one is just to tune in to 1072. If we're there, you have it. If we're not there, you don't have it. You can call 1-800-COMCAST. They will send out a tech, if you like, for about a $70 charge to switch out your boxes. Or you can take your boxes and go to an Xfinity store and swap them out yourself at no charge. They will continue to charge you the same amount they do now on a monthly basis. On our HD channel, to take best advantage of it for the community as a whole, we'll be showing a cross-section now of all our public, government, and educational broadcasts that we do to give everybody the best quality we can. If you look, you'll see that it's much better, it's much clearer, it's much more defined, so make sure you comb your hair. We'll know. That includes you, Joe. All right, thank you for your time.
Chris, I just have a question for you, Chris.
Sure.
So does this mean then that all of your public service announcements and all of the educational series that Mashpee TV has done will all be done on 1078?
1072.
1072. Okay, station number 1072 will be any of the work that Mashpee TV that has to do with town government and education.
Education, government, the PSAs, all the first run stuff will be there as long as it's produced in high definition.
Okay.
Which everything we do is in high definition. So, but other people may from time to time give us stuff. If it's not in high definition, it will be on channel 26, which will be standard definition. And if there's older stuff that we feel is still relevant, that will be on standard definition channel. But all the first run stuff will be with us.
On your website, are you going to be able to access basic public meetings? There are some people that just may not have an Xfinity box.
There are actually 3 ways to get public meetings.
Okay.
On the night of a meeting, you can go to the Mashpee Town Hall website, Town of Mashpee website, go to meeting videos, and there'll be a big red button that says live across it. You click on that on your computer and you'll get live from here, just like we're live now. It will also be on the Town of Mashpee YouTube site live. The next day, you'll be able to see it in the archives on the Town of Mashpee website. You'll be able to see it on their YouTube channel to be replayed, and you can see it on Mashpee TV's YouTube channel to be seen. So there's several ways to see it, but the only way to really see it live as it happens is 1072 or 8 for this time, or go on your computer to the Town of Mashpee website, meeting videos, hit live, or to their YouTube site.
Thank you. What's the difference between Channel 8 and Channel 26?
8 is currently the government channel.
Right.
8 will go away eventually. There are 20 community access channels that use 8 for government. That is, once they have all phased out and everybody has switched over to a high definition channel, Comcast will shut Channel 8 down. When that happens, when you tune, if you were to tune to Channel 8, it will automatically retune you to 1072. But for now, you can see Channel 8 in SD for these meetings, or you can go to 1072 and you see them high definition.
Okay.
You can switch back and forth. Enjoy the difference. There is a big difference.
Okay, great.
And
Thank
that, along with what we've done in the control room in the last year, I think everybody's seen a big difference.
Great.
So we continue to work.
Thank you. Thank you so much for Mashpee TV service.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Okay, so moving forward, then we'll have a report from the, from GHD, our consulting engineers.
Great, thank you.
This is Mark Granville. Thank you,
All right,
Mark.
thank you. Oops. Thank you. Sandy's on vacation this week and asked me to be here in place of her. Based on what Joe said to me earlier, I know why she asked me to sub for her today.
It's not bad. We'll wait for her to come back.
All right. And I'm also, after this, going to talk a little bit about some of the questions that you had outside of construction. I would have preferred Anastasia to be here for that, but she's at a conference, so, but I'll do my best to answer those questions also. So,
Thank you.
so I'm going to go over the construction for phase 1 as well as the phase, I'll touch on the phase 2 progress also. I'll just draw your attention to the photo here on the cover. I think it was last week we did a tour for the select board and town administration last Tuesday. So that's what you see in that photograph there. So I'll talk about the treatment facility first. I'll go through some current photographs. So this first one is showing some of the site grading that's being done right now. You could see the sand bed to the lower right, and you can see a compactor there in the left-hand side. The contractor is starting to prepare the site eventually for paving. These two images show the influent pumping station, and Jared, there isn't a
Pointer.
Laser pointer, no.
laser pointer? No?
No.
No, that's okay.
Sometimes using your mouse will help
Yeah,
to
let's see if-
pinpoint it.
You can't see it up there, but that's okay.
Oh,
So
sorry.
I'll just tell you that so you could see two images of the influent pumping station. It's that round concrete structure there. It's a below-grade pumping station. They put the controls up. There's vent piping, and there's also what we call a bypass pipe to allow the town to bring in a pump if they needed to ever completely bypass the station.
You didn't mention that there's tanks all underground here.
Right. This influent
The
pumping
processing
station.
tanks.
I'm sorry. The what?
The processing tanks begin from here on as you get to the other building.
Yep, correct. That's correct, yeah. So, yeah, this is the very beginning of the plant. This is all underground at this point. This image is just showing some of the stormwater management on the site, beginnings of it at least. This is the preliminary treatment building, the exterior, showing overhead doors have been installed, bollards to protect the building, door pads, exterior lights. This is the odor control system. In the lower left, in the background, is the carbon filtration system. The foreground, you can't quite see it, but there's a concrete tank pretty low to the photo. That is the biofilter. It does not yet have the media in it. The media is sitting in bags on the site. And then you could see the odor control delivery piping there, right there in the foreground. And then you could see a construction worker putting the fiberglass piping together, and that's essentially installed at this time. This is the inside of the preliminary treatment building. So this is where after the influent pumping station, the wastewater comes here first. This includes a couple of screens. You can see in the foreground a couple of very fine screens that are in there to protect the membranes. And there's also a grit removal system in this building. This is the electrical room in the preliminary treatment building, still in the process of being completed.
Do we have the final dates for the rest of that equipment?
Not final yet. Well, not yet. Yeah, we don't have it yet.
And when do we hope what do we have for a promise? Deliveries?
Joe, I'm not sure I can give you an
Do
exact
we
date
hope
for
we can
that.
start turning things on in January? That was the idea.
Yeah, I believe that I'm not sure about that. I'll have to wait until next month to see if that's still, yeah, I don't have that information.
One of the pieces of equipment could be held up longer, but it's not an essential piece of equipment for the startup. So that's what they're trying to figure out. Can we still start up as normal and just install these later? And they're just trying to get the finalization before they.
Well, we got a, dual process here. What we gotta do is fill the whole system with clean water and run it, find out where all the pipes leak and the pumps fail and everything else before we commit the next stage, which is a small amount of septic, to the whole next stage to run everything on that. And then during that, we will also get permission from the state on how fast and how much we can dump into each of our recycling points. So
Yep.
it's none of those items. Those items we expect to have, so we should be able to start up the pumps and check out most of the mechanical devices.
That's the hope. Yep, that's the plan.
That's the goal. Okay, let's let Mark continue, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe, you'll have to use your microphone when you speak, please.
The next building is the process building, and this is all the exterior work, the overhead doors, regular doors, louvers, sidewalks are in place there, bollards again to protect the building, chemical fill station, which are a little bit difficult to see in this photo, but they're the small square areas to the right of the door, translucent panels, which are provide the ability to take equipment in and out of the chemical room in rare instances where that needs to happen, and then exterior lights and leaching pits too. And this is the gas service ready for connection. This is the blower room in the process building. The blowers, you can see one blower wrapped there, ready for installation. The stainless steel air piping up above, ready for not only the two existing blowers, but you can see the stubs hanging down for future blowers. and then the wiring, which is still underway. Still in the process building, this is the chemical feed room. You can see chemical feed pumps there on the left-hand side of the photograph, and the conduit and wiring, which is still underway. So this is the permeate pump room. The permeate pumps are the pumps that draw the water through the membranes and out of the process tank. So those are there on the right-hand side in the process of being installed. This is an electrical room in the basement of the process building. Still waiting for major equipment to come in, but you can see the wiring is well underway there. These are some pumps for the membrane tanks. They're called MLSS pumps. They just circulate the bugs back from the end to the beginning of the tank. And then this is the sand beds, near complete for construction. Guide rails you can see in place there. Any questions on the plant progress?
I don't know.
So,
Doesn't look like it.
so the collection system, so the northern system reached substantial completion in June, and there's minor cleanup that's occurring. You can see some road work and work off to the side of the roads that's underway on Asher's Path. System on the south, roadway restoration, which you could see in the photograph there, and pump station work. Falmouth Road Pumping Station, the site's complete, including the yard work. And then the Mashpee next station, you can see the fencing there to the left, and the yard work is complete to the right there.
May I interrupt real quick? One of the things I wanted to bring up is we've received quite a lot of phone calls from Summerwood in the last week regarding, I can't find anything in writing, but apparently there was a promise that there was going to be a full fence at Summerwood, not just around the generator. Even though we've explained we haven't accepted the property yet, it's not completed. They're upset about the landscaping and stuff, and they are also upset that there isn't a full fence there. So since we've saved a lot of money in the project, I've asked to just get a price out on what it would cost to do a fence along that back side, so they wouldn't have to look at the pump station every time they came in there. So if anybody asked you guys, we are currently just waiting on a price to come back to see what that would be.
Why are they concerned about the pump stations? They don't look bad. I mean, they look like little buildings.
They don't like looking at it. So we're going to take a look, and apparently we've had several people say it was discussed when Ray Jack was still here, and that he promised them. So we're just going to look and see what that cost is and if it's within our budget.
What's worthwhile doing if people are concerned about it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Would you be creative in that, and also, because the question will come up, get a quote on putting trees in instead of a fence?
So that's one of the things. There are trees that were put in there, and they're currently dying. Now, I tried to explain that even if they do die before we take it over, once we take it over, we're going to require that they be replaced before we take it over, and then we would water them and maintain them, but right now they're not maintained,
Trees
so.
died, now they want a fence.
That's what it sounds, or that's what I understand. So I told them I'd at least price it out, and then I'd bring it before the committee once I do get that price. But if anybody asks you or says anything on the street about it,
Put the ball
We are
back
working
in
it.
their yard and say that we'd be interested in putting plants in if you will sign an agreement to take care of them. But it's your responsibility. And that'll get them off the shtick, and they'll probably stay with a fence, and that might be the end of it.
Okay, thank you. You can proceed.
So I'll just review the construction progress with regard to the cash flow. So this is the plant. So you see the white line is the cumulative expenses incurred to date. The blue line is the original budget. The red is the adjusted budget. And we're tracking below both budgets, but still have a few months to go. For the collection system north, this project came in below budget by a bit for a few reasons that perhaps Sandy's explained, but adjustments in fuel costs and other kind of commodity costs helped to lower the overall cost of this. And then the southern system is still in progress, but was accelerated for a while there, but it's now tracking very close to the budget. So, what we're calling the Phase 1A, or the Phase 1 alternate, progress meetings started in August. Submittals are ongoing right now. The contractor has not yet mobilized for this work. So it's just paperwork.
Remind me what Phase A is?
Where is it?
What is Phase 1A?
So it was an ad alternate from the original contract that was not awarded.
What is it?
Rooster Road, Christopher Lane,
Okay, it is.
those areas,
Okay, I
and the lift
recall
station.
now.
Yep.
Thank you.
General area. That has a little bit of construction. They've started the tree removal this week.
Oh, they did this week, okay,
Yeah, they did this week. That was,
all right.
actually, I went by there yesterday to take a look, and they did do it, yes.
An hour and a half. It was fast.
Yeah, okay.
Blitzkrieg.
Excuse me, Commissioner Sprout, did you have some other questions about Brewster Road?
Well, I know that it's on schedule, and at this point, I was going to wait for the engineer to explain exactly what part of what we're seeing over there, because it's a different company, so.
Okay.
So are you looking for me, so this was the only progress I was going to give today on this. Did you had
That's
other
fine.
questions? No, okay, all right, okay. Anything else on Phase 1? I was going to give just a summary of where Phase 2 stands, but anything else on Phase 1?
No, we're good, thank you.
Okay. So Phase 2 is under design. So the survey work is just about, it's done in the field. We're just waiting for just some final digital copies of the survey for portions of the work. The boring work is done, I think, on the streets. We still have a little bit of pump station site work left, but that was a few months worth of work, and that's largely done at this point. 60% design is just about complete for the entire project. Same thing with the pumping stations and the treatment facility improvements too. So this project is going to have a total of 6 contracts that would go out for bid. It'll have the treatment plant, pump stations, so those are 2 contracts, and then there's 4 separate linear contracts, 4 collection system contracts, so a total of 6 contracts.
One of them is line 2 in the processing plant?
Correct.
So
That's correct.
When this is kicked in, we'll have line 1 and line 2
That's correct.
set up.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I have, when you're done with your presentation, because it's germane with what you're saying, I'd like to ask a request
Okay. All right.
before we go on to the interview.
So the permitting is ongoing. The groundwater discharge permit in particular is ongoing. If you might all recall, this was the groundwater discharge permit was the most challenging part of the permitting process for this. I will say right now it seems to be running. I'm optimistic about it, that it's running pretty well. The state, we've been working closely with the state on this, and so we're very optimistic about this permit coming through. So that's all I had for Phase 2. Any questions on that? We're working towards, just schedule-wise, we're working toward a submittal to the state in October 11th. It's an application. It's called an SRF application. It's kind of the loan application, if you will, that's due on October 11th. And then once all the permits come in, the town would then be able to bid the project and eventually award the project. So, and all that should happen prior to June of next year. Any questions?
Great,
on
thank
that?
you. No. So, well, yes, there is a question. So coming back to part of what Joe had asked earlier, so we're still on target to be having the wastewater treatment plant operational between January and March,
So
maybe.
that's the official date, so, and I don't mean to be evasive.
No, it's fine.
So I'll just explain to you what's happening. I mean, the contractor has dates for equipment to arrive. Those can change at times. So we are still waiting on electrical equipment, we're still waiting on process equipment. And so that's still the official start time is early next year. I'm just waiting to see, we wait for the contractor to provide us with definite dates, all right? So that's why,
Okay.
that's best information available, so.
I find it interesting that as you talked about the different parts of the plant and that the bollards are up. And from what I understand, bollards started to be used after 9/11 for building protection. I mean, we saw them starting to go up in New York and in other cities, so it's like new.
So for your facility, it's not for the same reason, but
Yeah,
you are right. I mean,
Yeah.
the bollards that you saw there were around overhead doors where trucks back up. So it's to protect the building from big trucks
Trucks,
backing into
okay.
it.
Crashing.
But the use of them came into widespread use, so people don't
Right.
even question them
Right.
anymore,
You
but
definitely
it's
see a
just
lot
been
more of
since
them.
9/11, yeah.
That's right. Yes, Joe.
All my life, I was paid to stay ahead of the game,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where you end up falling into incredible problems if you don't. So I'm gonna call back to the original plan that was approved in 2015. And that included the upper end of Great Neck North as a primary area for sewers. There's about 1 mile of roadway from the circle south on Great Neck that has a number of condominiums and a number of private homes in it. They are all at this time dumping septic right into the river. They are one of the primary river polluted areas. We have done nothing there on the west side of the river. We're getting all this work done to the north and to the east side of the river, and we're doing nothing yet on one of the most prolific pollution areas. So we need to call it maybe Phase 3, that won't hit the deck, won't hit us running for loans or anything else for as much as 2 years. I understand that. But if we don't do it now, we're gonna be waiting for equipment then, and we'll be at the end of the run as far as getting contractors, because other people are in trouble too. So we gotta plan Phase 3. So we need from GHD a quotation covering an estimated quotation, covering from the circle south for 1 mile, all of the housing that is now polluting the south end of the river, which is just north of Pompanesett,
Okay,
all right?
okay.
And that was Phase 2 in the original plan. Okay, and then we got all numbered out with Phase 1, Phase 1A, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know whether do we call it Phase 3 or just say what it is, Great Neck North, Great Neck South.
That makes sense.
Is it Great Neck South? Is that what you said?
Yes,
It's
Yeah.
the
south,
road
okay.
is Great
Great
Neck
Neck
South.
South.
It goes from the Rotary south.
Okay, all
It
right.
will require either a river crossing or go up through the Rotary to get to the processing plant. The
Okay.
river crossing is pretty easy because it's under power line and all of that.
So this would include the development of wind chime,
Yes,
yeah, and not sea oaks, sea mist?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
And sandalwood.
And sandalwood, yeah.
And then down
It is
south
hard-
of there, within 1 mile, it's green something, I've
Mm-hmm.
forgotten the proper name of it. There's about 75 or 100 houses in there, okay?
Is it
It's densely
Greenwood?
populated.
So we've got a lot of population. Now, part of that is two big, actually, there's 3 condominiums in there. And that's one of the problems, but it's also for us one of the benefits.
Yeah.
We pick it up as far as cheapness per customer. because they're already plumbed.
But they haven't approached, those condominiums haven't approached Jared yet, right?
Yes, I believe they're under
They were
private
begging
systems.
5 years ago for
They
us to
were,
take it
okay,
over.
okay.
Nothing's changed.
That's what I was wondering.
Their
But no,
systems
but-
are not appropriate.
Okay.
We've got to get
No,
rid
I
of
know.
them.
I'm just wondering, what, has
Yeah,
there
they
been
haven't
any
spoken to me since I've been here.
That's
yet.
what
The
I
only
was
ones
wondering.
was Southport and Willow Bend.
Willowbend, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, we
We
should,
only, out of all of them, everything in there is operating on Title V, except for the one you mentioned, the first one,
Southport. oh,
Seamus,
Wind
Seamus.
Wind
Oh,
Chime.
Wind
Wind chime, wind chime's
Wind
on.
Chime has a processing facility,
Yep.
which is on its last legs, and they just put a lot of money in it too, so they really want to get out of there. And that would be maybe our pumping point to lift everything out of there and send it up to the processing plant. But that would, in Phase 3, include Line 3 and Line 4 potentially in the processing plant.
Well, that's sort of a segue into where you were going, Mark, wasn't it?
I'm
With some
sorry?
of the questions that I had asked.
Yes,
Yeah.
so if I could, I was going to pull up another presentation just so we have something here.
Thank you, Joe.
So I have a figure up here that I wanted to use. I know it's not going to answer all of your questions, but we could at least use it to speak from.
So the questions that I had raised, that I let the wastewater superintendent and the engineers and the commissioners know, had been about, we know where we're going with Phase 1, which is the 439 properties, and then the second set of the 1,288 properties. But I thought it would be a good idea if people had an idea of what the waterways that were being affected by the start of our sewer system.
One thing, that's all there is. Don't open it up to all of the confusion. All we're taking care of with the whole process now is the east side of the river, period.
But Mark is going to answer our questions.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is,
I hear
can
you.
invent 35 ways of asking that question, but it'll only create 35 more sources of confusion.
I hear
We
you.
are doing one thing, we're cleaning up the Mashpee River, and when we've done with that, we'll move to the Wacoit estuary, and we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't have it that detailed, because it doesn't work that way. All you do is waste your time explaining things that'll never happen.
But the people are asking questions, and I think it'll just give us an idea of where we're going with it. I agree with you, but we're gonna get there.
So what I have up here is the bodies of water that are impacted in some way by the work that we're doing. So, what Joe said is right. We're focused on the east side of the town, that's Pompanesett Bay, and the primary water bodies that are affected by Phase 1 and Phase 2 are the Mashpee River, Pompanesett Bay, Shoestring Bay. So it's those water bodies, and those are that's the bodies that are nitrogen impacted, and so that's the focus. There's a potential impact on Phase 2 for the two ponds to the north, Mashpee, Wakeby, and Santuit. However, those aren't nitrogen-limited bodies of water. We are planning to sewer adjacent to them, and so there very well could be some positive impacts, but I can't quantify those to you. I guess I want to make sure everybody understands that, the work that's been done by the state focuses on nitrogen impacts, right? That's the coastal estuaries.
Mm-hmm.
The town is doing some studies of ponds within the town, and, that's going to focus on phosphorus impacts. Those are underway right now. I'm not sure how many ponds are being investigated, but that is underway. There's some studies, they call them diagnostic studies, that are going to
I
be.
think Ashley's got them all
Yeah.
under
Yeah.
control, under study now.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But we just cannot let people think sewers is a promise to clean those ponds off. It isn't.
And I'm not here to say that either.
No, I know,
yeah,
but the
yeah.
more we talk about it, the more they believe, because they were told by one of the politicians who made a serious personal error in telling them that to get them to vote. And it's not true. It has a very small effect we've got to do other things up there to clean up those ponds. And the Bureau of Natural Resources has got a bunch of initiatives right now for Santuit, Ashumet, and Mashpee Wakeby. And that answers 99% of the questions, right there.
Yep.
Yeah. And so when those studies come out, that'll provide more insight than certainly I can. We need to wait for those studies.
Agreed. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Okay.
Does that answer, does that
Yeah.
properly respond to your question?
Yes.
Yeah?
It
Okay,
does.
Okay.
And I think it's important also what Joe said, that we just can't keep picking up little pieces and little pieces and little pieces. We need to look at the bigger picture, where we're going, what we've got, and then as we get excited about the plant being operational, then we'll see what actually gets cleaned up. But I'm just very excited about the work that's getting done, but I think staying focused is most important.
I will just add one other item to this. We've been working on a update to the 2015 plan. Ray Jack had asked that you probably are aware of a financial study. He commissioned a financial study to go along with a rate study, as well as looking at the future sewering in the town. That's underway, but it's working itself to somewhat of a conclusion. So we've just been waiting for that to be able to kind of start to talk about the update to the plan. So that'll be coming soon. Just wanted to let you know that it's not just sitting there for no reason. We've been waiting for this financial planning work to work itself out.
Is soon mean 2024 or 2025?
So next month, we're gonna have on the agenda, for the mid-month meeting.
Mid-October.
Mid-October meeting. We're gonna present two options, flow-based or fixed-rate billing.
Oh, okay.
What they'll look like, models with different subsidies, and give everybody here an opportunity to decide. Once we know which method we wanna go with, then we can go really dive into the absolute meat and potatoes, and
Yes. And that'll make a big difference.
yes.
So, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Has anyone else any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. All right, so then our next item on the agenda, thank you, Mark, that was a lot of work, putting you on the spot. So our next item on the agenda is to interview. I had to use the correct town language to say that we will be interviewing, discussing, and possible recommendation for a sewer commission vacancy. So may I ask our candidate to come forward, please? And you'll just state your name and your address so that people will know who you are.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Mohan Nair. I live on Lakeview Drive in Mashpee, next to the base.
Okay, would you like to tell us a little bit, just a brief summary? Everyone has a copy of your resume and of your letter of intent, so if you can just give us a brief overview of what makes you want to join the sewer commission as opposed to conservation, or as opposed to any of the other commissions or boards?
Yeah, sure. So I moved to Mashpee about 3 years ago, and I'm passionate about sustainability, so I was thinking about ways to get engaged in the local community service, and this seemed to be a natural fit to kind of foster my science background as well. And I also happen to live on a Ashumet Pond, so I'm aware of some of the ecological impact that pond was having from a lot of reasons. So that's what fueled my interest in the sewer committee.
So you're aware also of when the meetings are scheduled? They're scheduled twice a month, every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They're not every 2 weeks, but they're twice a month. There was a big distinction between the two. Do you have any questions of us?
I'm not sure if I mentioned in the letter, but my job requires me to travel, and that's kind of unpredictable. It's not on a schedule. So if I'm traveling and if I'm, transcontinental travel, then I might not be able to attend the meeting. But if there is a way to join online, I would join.
Yes, we do have people attending by Zoom. Yep.
Yeah.
So are there any questions that any of you have?
I'm curious how your background in engineering fits with what we're doing in the next couple of years on the Sewer Commission. Your perspective.
Yeah, of course. I'm not a civil engineer or I'm not a environmental engineer. So my view is I cannot design a sewer system, but if you give me a design document, I can study that and ask pertinent questions to figure out what's going on and if that fits in with the overall objectives of the project. So I think I'll be comfortable doing that.
We have to get familiar with the work of the Sewer Commission. There's a lot of documents, historical documents you might want to go through. It takes a good bit of time to review, and I would suggest you find some time to do that if you're interested. Just because of your interest in Ashumet Pond and everything else, going back to the 2015 planning documents and other historical documents are worth reading, and they're on the website.
It's on the town website?
Yep. Mhm.
Okay.
At the Sewer Commission, on the Sewer Commission's website. It does take time to come up to speed and be able to contribute effectively. I just wanted you to be aware of that out front. And we're looking for a candidate who can engage with the community, as you seem to be interested and willing to do. So what kind of engagement activities are you familiar with? And could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when I moved to Mashpee, I didn't know what cyanobacteria bloom was. I didn't know what nitrogen loading was. I didn't know what phosphorus loading was. I am now dangerous enough to ask questions. So you tend to absorb a lot of things by just going on, what's going on in the environment. So one thing that we were able to do was to form kind of an awareness group called Friends of Ashumet Pond.
Mm-hmm.
It was a loosely built organization, not with any mandate. We're not a 501(c) or anything like that. But over the years, we have become quite effective, and people are now, we have a Facebook page. They're asking the, relevant questions, and we ourselves are asking, if you go and talk to Ashley Fisher, we ask questions, and sometimes, we stump her as well. So I think as a group, we are getting more and more knowledgeable. It's all about public awareness, stormwater controls and things like that. So that's something that we hope to accomplish. And that also resulted in the Falmouth Pond Coalition with Kim Comart heads. So I'm part of that as well, because Ashumet Pond straddles two towns.
Right.
So those are some of the activities that I've engaged since I moved here.
Okay. Thank you.
I just have one question about the timeline. Here it says you're a member of the Falmouth Pond Coalition. Was that begun after the establishment of the Friends of Ashumet Pond?
Correct.
Okay, so that's why you're working together, because of the town,
Yeah.
the watershed, basically from Falmouth and the western part of Mashpee is all one. All right,
Right.
so. Now, are they having any impact as far as getting the Falmouth to extend the sewer to the eastern part? Or is that their goal, or do they have a specific goal other than to just maybe monitor what's going on? Thinking the Falmouth Pond, are you familiar with what they're doing?
Which pond?
Falmouth.
The Falmouth Pond Coalition, do they have goals similar to the ones of the Friends of the Ashumet Pond?
They are similar, but I think the association was primarily for Ashumet Pond because it's It joins two ponds. So, for example, they were talking about upgrading the boat ramp. So there was some permission that, they had to get from the Falmouth town, and that's one aspect. So anything that impacts both the towns that we can leverage together, that was the idea.
Oh, all right, thank you. I would not have thought of that.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, just one thing.
Sure. Can you use your microphone, please?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Chris, I'm using my microphone. The package here is one of large scale in a small town, and a lot of struggles to get people with experience as well as knowledge of things. But planning is another issue, and that part of the septic cleanup in Mashpee is designated to the Sewer Commission. And we are just going along with all of the day-to-day stuff so that we can add a little expertise that might be helpful down the road, like the next area that we're going to go into, and how do we go into it, and what happens. And also blow back from the town on things that don't make sense to them, or vice versa. But key to this thing is one plan, and it's 362 pages or something.
It's big.
So when you go to the website, go to the 2015 approved plan. Read it. What it'll say is we have 2 watersheds. We got to do something in the next 20 years, or the state will come in and do it for us against our will. So what we're doing is we're sewering the town. Simple as that. One basic philosophy was created that everybody in town pollutes, but we will not sewer everybody. It just doesn't make sense. Some houses are too far into the woods, some places don't affect the groundwater, so these places will never be sewered. But in order to be fair to all of those people that have to sewer, we're gonna let the town build a processing plant, and the town put all the feeder lines into the streets. That will come out of the general tax base of the town or be financed by town facilities. You will connect the only connection that you have to do to your house the day that it goes down your street, if it does go down your street. So that's one critical aspect. The other is, because there are 2 watersheds, we had to focus on one. The worst one was the river. Are you familiar with the Mashpee River?
A little bit.
Okay, you should go over there, walk the fire roads next to the river, and you'll understand how bad it is. It's tidal. All the sewerage goes down the river, and then it comes back 6 hours later, and it goes down 6 hours later, and you can see it. It's floating. It's all of the stuff that you're aware of in the ponds that also flushes down into the estuary. If we can kill the amount of nitrogen going into that river, it'll stop the feeding of the phytoplankton that's dying and creating all the muck on the bottom and destroying the fish, the shellfish, and the good seaweed. So that's what we're up against. And all of our work to date is for the east side, so we can have an impact and show the state and show the townspeople that we are cleaning up everything. The ponds on the other side is another issue, because we've got to kill the phosphorus in the system to get a hope of slowing down the phytoplankton in the ponds. So just read that 2015 plan, and you'll see there isn't much to do with the west side. That will be like 2 years from now, we'll switch our effective work into the west side, where we have some nice options, and it's not as populated, so it's not as difficult. So that's all I had. It's sort of a round perspective, and I'm available anytime if you want to talk. Give me a call.
Sure.
One of the other things, Catherine had been the primary leader in helping to upgrade our website, and she'd been working with Karen Leslie, who is the administrator of the wastewater department. And so we're continually upgrading and updating the website and trying to make it agreeable for people to understand where we are and where we're going, and to help to answer some of the questions of where we're going. But also for people who are interested in the commission, I've also made it a point of, so Joe has offered to give information or share information, but I've also sat down with people going through some of the documents, because one of the things that we had done in looking at the documents, which are the oldest ones, what is the history of why we've got the kind of issues we've got with water, but then also what are the most current ones so that we know where we're going at this point in time. So going through and having a navigator of the documents is something that I've also done with people who are interested, so that it's not a, I think all of us have gone through trying to go through it on our own, and it can be overwhelming, but also having a guide to go through it with, this is what's important, this is also important, but what things are, you can weigh it on. So there are lots of different pieces of information, and the priority of how and when to cover them is fairly clear. But there are willing people to help you to do that if you're interested in doing it.
Yeah. I would only add that, that we are always looking for opportunities to enhance website communication with the town residents. A lot of people, my sense is that a lot of people do use it, but there's still quite a few that don't, and they'll jump to Facebook, or they'll jump to some other information source that they have that may be community-based, but does not always have the information that's fact-based. And we really strive hard to get the information on the website that it's historically and factually based. And we're working on up-to-date, updating it periodically, and we're always looking for help. So, it's not just attending the sewer commission meetings that's wanted in a candidate for the sewer commission. We're looking for a commitment to contribute, either through engagement with the community in some other way, or helping the website, or in some other form. Right now, we're also, Al and I are working on, or helping Jared with updating some policy documents. So, and that's outside of the meetings. So those kinds of opportunities exist, and we need the help. So would you be willing to help with some of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think my view is, if you box responsibilities to a particular role, then, you're just checking the box.
Thank you. Okay.
So it has to be holistic, it has to be complete. So, as a resident or as a, office bearer, you get the complete picture, not just
Yeah,
just
you
something
get
done.
the complete picture, and then you realize the role, you understand incrementally how important that particular contribution you can make is, and it is different from everybody else's.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have to continue with our goal towards diversity on the commission, diversity in training and background, and all your experience and contributions. So thank you for signing up.
And this is an example to what Catherine is saying. Like last year, the Board of Health had asked if we wanted to participate in their flu clinics. And I said, how would we participate in their flu clinics? And what I realized is that they really wanted us to just simply set up an information table. And it was really quite interesting, and there were many residents who came and who were very excited to hear about what was going on and to have their questions answered directly. So I think a number, these don't take very much time, but they are very important to engage with residents of the town. And then when we're getting in questions, especially a new person who's looking at the website will say, well, why do you have it like this? That kind of insight, or that kind of and, you know, being able to look at it and say, well, some of this doesn't really fit or flow, that also helps to repair or to keep it up to date. Because when Jared first started with us, you've been here now almost 2 years?
Only,
Almost
not,
six.
not even a year yet.
Not even a year.
Not even a year.
But being able to take a look at the website and then say, well, let's look at a
Seems
different flow
forever.
of that and this.
Yeah.
So it just feels as if you've been here a long time.
I'm fine, I'm having fun.
You got the
Exactly.
bug, yeah.
But I think that what Catherine has said is also terribly important in terms of engagement. So thank you for throwing your hat in the ring.
Yeah, I'm happy to help. You know, this is something that I care about. It's, you know, something that I feel that I'm obligated to do as a resident, help in some way, some capacity. So.
You can help us with the use of the English language too, please.
Why, are we bad at it?
Yes. I'm terrible at it.
You are.
I am.
Okay, well, the way the process goes from here then is that the commissioners will be filling out an evaluation form and will be coming up with their recommendation. And then I need to then summarize the recommendation, summarize the forms, summarize the interview, and then make the recommendation to the select board.
Okay.
And then you would have a second interview with the select board.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, any other questions as we move forward?
Not for me.
Okay. Well, then, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We appreciate your throwing your hat in the ring.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So if you want to take a couple of minutes to fill out the form, that would be helpful. And can I ask you to multitask then as we move forward with having the wastewater superintendent report? Or do you want to have like 2 minutes to fill out the forms? Okay, we'll give you 2 minutes. There's no reason for not doing that. I feel as if we should have, as they do when you're calling someplace and they put on the music for you.
Yeah.
We should have some
Background
entertaining
music.
background music on Mashpee TV so that we don't have moments of silence. Of course, they could always have Meredith just jabbering away. Or we could even have Mark talking a lot, anything about GHD. One of the things that's important that I've always been excited about, maybe people aren't excited about, but in going through the archived documents, realizing that GHD has been a part of the Mashpee water issues for many, many years, 30, 40 years. So it's great to know that we have a partner that's been here for a while. This is where I don't know where we're going, and I shouldn't say I shouldn't know where we're going, but I don't know if we make the recommendation or have you vote, or, I think you just need to make the recommendations, and then I make the summary, and then I get back to Mohan and to the select board. Okay. I think we'll do it that way.
Does he, did you talk to Al?
No, he's out of the country.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, before we have Jared come on, you do have to listen to me sort of chatter away, because we have on the agenda the chairperson's report. And the only thing that I have just a few things, part of which have been touched on during this meeting. And the most important thing is that I'm really looking forward as we get closer to the plant opening and to the point when we start collecting sewage and then start cleaning up our waters. But it was interesting to hear Mohan speak about his being a member of the Falmouth Pond Group and the Ashumet Pond Group. I was just recently contacted by a group in Barnstable. It's a Barnstable Pond Group that wants to start looking at how they can, so many of the groups in town, especially the pond groups, realize that many of the areas in the different towns are just not going to be sewered. And so they're kind of interested in coming together and looking at what some of the solutions can be for some of the ponds, either on a, we all know that the ponds are all different and that the solutions for getting them clean, keeping them clean, monitoring them are all different. And so to me, it's very interesting that we've got so many different groups that are part of our towns that are part of our memorandum of understanding, with Barnstable, Falmouth, Sandwich, and Mashpee all working together. So not only is it officially towns working together, but it's also grassroots of people working together to try to help find solutions for clean water that are not just town-driven. And I think that that's pretty exciting. The other thing I wanted us to keep an eye on is that we do know that there is now some new progress on the Santuit Pond boat ramp. There's been a huge grant that was given both to the tribe and to Natural Resources to work on and cleaning up straightening out the boat ramp at Santuit Pond. There's also a design that's being completed for the boat ramp for Mashpee Wakeby Pond boat ramp. So there are so many different areas for cleaning up the water. Stormwater is another issue. We know that the Department of Public Works is working very hard on working on the different areas. APCC has also been working very hard on many of the restoration projects for cleaning up the water and restoring natural habitats. So having vigilance and being knowledgeable about the different areas that are tangential to us are important. We had talked in the past as one group, but we've also talked with the other groups in the town that are concerned with water, and that we have some sort of a promise that at some point in time that the groups that are concerned about water will be coming together for a dialogue to really talk about problems and solutions together. So that's my report, or my ideas of us being continually vigilant and continuing to try to keep both our citizens informed, but also to keep our networks working well.
Yeah.
Catherine and I had also been asked to do a presentation with a group of realtors, which I thought was quite wonderful, although we've been postponed several times, but we're looking forward to doing a presentation to help answer some of the questions for the realtors. Because many of them don't know what some of the questions are, nor do some of the buyers or sellers know what some of the questions are, and so we're hoping that we'll be able to provide some information for them as well. So with that, enough said from Chairperson Harris, and to now hear from Wastewater Superintendent Jared Meter.
Thank you. So as far as the Policy Review Committee, we have not met since the last meeting. I did have to take my daughter to college, so I was out for a while. But beyond that, the public outreach for Phase 2, one of the things we were talking about is possibly setting up, once we get the 60% drawings in and the plans in, to be able to set up something maybe at the library or the senior center, give people opportunities to come up, ask questions, half days, do it a couple times, and then maybe find a place where we can maybe leave some of those drawings up with some of the key bullet points for people just to review if they're in those areas. Again, also putting it like we did here at the town hall prior to Phase 2, people in the town hall, they'll be able to see these poster boards. So we're working on, with Bob Drake from GHD, who's the Phase 2, as he gets that information in, we're going to compile it in a way that we can do a quick presentation that we can also then break down and bring to like town meeting and stuff like that going forward.
Excellent.
And we also just did recently a video tour of the facility with Mashpee TV, so people could see that. It is up on the archives for anybody that wants to watch it, and we hope to do that again real soon, if not before the clean water test, during the clean water test, and let people at home see all the pumps and everything running, you know.
May I ask you a question? Didn't you have a water test earlier this week?
So we did do a perk test with the DEP for our additional sand beds we'll be adding in phase 2. I'm not an engineer or soil guy or anything like that, but everybody seemed happy and everything was going well, so it was very positive. I also asked some questions regarding, doing when we do our groundwater monitoring, be able to put in what do they call those things? Level monitors? Yeah, the level monitors.
Monitoring
yes,
wells.
level monitors. There we go. I was like drawing a
Monitoring.
blank. So, one of the thoughts process, if we could put a level monitor in our current monitoring wells, that allows us to gather more data instead of doing it quarterly. And just that little bit of data we can capture a year-round levels, and the DEP seemed very responsive to that.
That'd be great, yeah.
How high was the loading done?
So it was the the terminology, like I said, it's not what I do for a living,
Gallons
but I was
per minute.
watching them, they were dropping it in there, and it wasn't maintaining in the bucket, it was going through like the bucket.
Oh, they used the bucket?
Yeah, they put a bucket in there and they kept pouring it in, the 25
Really?
the 25 gallons or whatever it is, and they were looking for first a saturation. Yep, saturation, it didn't happen, it didn't say, it just kind of just kept going. And it was just
That's
a constant
good.
stream of water, so it was perking great. From what I saw, I was like, well, that's going away fast.
Yeah.
But that was my,
They've given us 6 gallons per minute or something as a startup phase.
I think they're giving us seven gallons a
Seven,
minute. Yeah,
okay.
7, yeah.
And from what I understand, I did this 5 years ago, when these questions, or more, when these questions first came up. I talked to Chatham, I talked to Barnstable, and I talked to somebody else, I'm not sure. The range of experience was, the state gives you a number, because they're chicken shit. They're not sure what's gonna happen when you stick it in the ground. So they make you stick it in the ground. And if 7 works, they'll increase it. I said to all of these people, did they increase yours? The answer was yes. I said, how much? One of them said, don't tell them, but I'm pumping over 15 right now. So there's a very large scope. And what the state did was screw us all up, get everybody nervous that we need more than 7 gallons per bed. We're gonna get it. This was step 1. Okay, it's all sand. They gotta find out that it's all sand because they're in Boston, they don't know. The routine. So how high have you seen in recent years? Have you done any others?
So, yes, so we're probably gonna get 14, maybe as high as 14 in Falmouth. You need to test it with wastewater once you go
Understood.
beyond the initial stage, right?
Yeah.
And we did that in Falmouth, and I think, we demonstrated 11 to 15 gallons per minute, so we're probably gonna get something like that there.
From your personal observation, not a
Yeah.
professional confirmation, do we have the same subsoil here that we did over in
You
Falmouth?
but it's better here.
Better, yeah.
It's
yeah.
better here.
Let's leave it at that.
So, you do have the ability to get more than 7 gallons per minute.
Well, we
I-
need that.
I will say this, I will caution you, and this, when I mentioned, actually towards the end of last year about how we were concerned about getting the groundwater discharge permit, it is a different set of criteria that the state's looking at now, and it's the mound, okay? So I just want to caution you.
Mounding.
It's mounding. We can get a lot of flow into it, but what that does is it increases the groundwater
Increases
table,
groundwater.
and that has some other effects. So I just caution you a little bit. so.
and that's why I asked about the data loggers.
Well, this is also 73 feet higher.
Correct. Yep.
Than the
Yeah,
water
no,
table.
Yes, yeah.
So we got a lot of sand between us and the water table.
So when the DEP representative was there, Sean was his name, I was talking with him, and I said, hey, I'm looking for education here. If I was to go out and purchase these data loggers and put them
Yeah.
down in there and get day-to-day reads, would that speed up this process instead of them waiting 5-10 years before they decide they want to upgrade? He says, absolutely. I said, so we would not be wasting money. He goes, oh, no, you wouldn't be wasting money. So that's kind of the approach we're going to
Might
talk
as
to
well
him at our
buy
next
it. We're
meeting.
wasting money on other things not as important.
So we're hoping to be able to speed this up, but we're going to wait till the next meeting with the full DEP group.
Tell Rodney I
Bring it back
recommend
up.
it.
Okay. I'll make sure I write that down. So, but other than that, it was actually a very awesome experience because I've never done that before. So I wanted to make sure I was out there Monday morning to just see it being done and educate myself. So
I think the exciting thing about this whole plant is that it's the first time it's being done in Mashpee at all. So
yes,
all of it's new, and again, thank you to the engineers, and thank you to you, Jared, for your hard work for us moving forward, and so far, so good. As they used to, I can cross fingers, but as they used to say in South Africa, cross thumbs, and that's even more positive. So I think we're moving forward lovely.
thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
Outreach.
Well, you've got some more items on the agenda before you get to.
No, we don't, actually.
Oh, all right. I didn't know if you were going to do anything on the website. All right. Recently in the news, I think this week, there was a talk about Sandwich making a large land purchase to anticipate doing something with sewer. Is anybody familiar with that, and has there been any discussion?
The IME meeting, which was supposed to happen yesterday, got postponed to next week.
Oh, okay.
So we'll probably hear about it at the IMA meeting.
Thank you.
What is the nature of the question?
Well-
What is the meeting on?
We just have a monthly or quarterly meeting for the intermunicipal agreement. So usually each town will come in there and talk about what they're doing that complements each other. So they'll probably tell us that if they are doing a land purchase.
All
Do you
right.
know where the land purchase was?
No, but it sounded like they were doing something about the recharge beds.
Okay.
Or
We can try to find out.
discharge, yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. I figured it would be, because I don't keep up with a lot of the news on the radio, so this happened to make it that far.
I'm wondering if this has to do with the schools.
I'm sorry.
I think what you're talking about has to do with the schools. At the last meeting, they did touch upon it. I wasn't involved in the details of it, but they are going forward with one of their projects for the schools specifically. So I'm wondering if that's what has to do, but I'll ask what the land purchase was at the next
One of
meeting.
the schools was Seward. It's the one at Quaker Meeting House Road. There was a lot of construction there. I don't know if you were all aware of it. And that was the sewering for the school that's right at Quaker Meeting House Road and Route 130. But I know that Sandwich has had some major problems as well with some of the, what do you call them, the RV camps? Because again, they are impacting the watersheds in Sandwich, and there was one that was for sale. So I don't know if that might have something to do with it, because again, every town is trying to figure out ways of addressing where are their problems coming in terms of clean water. And I think there are 2 large RV camps, and they're not quite sure how to handle them.
And then, aren't there campgrounds in Sandwich also?
I think those are the ones that we're talking about. Yeah.
Just one question. With your contacts at Sandwich, are they still hopeful that the base is going to help them out?
From my understanding, that's still the plan, that they're going to go to the base. I did have a talk with Matt Kennedy. He's anticipating them coming as well. I also know next month I have we're finally going to get all the wastewater operators on the Cape together in one meeting to discuss a lot of these things. So it's actually finally happening.
That's very good.
So, and we'll discuss a lot of that stuff there as well. I know Sandwich doesn't have a wastewater department, but there will be other representatives, and I should also.
Would you please ask Kennedy, because I've lost touch with him, he doesn't like my opinion, if the United States government has given permission in any of the 24 bases that are being, sewer systems are being operated by U.S. Water, to bring water onto a base and take it off again. That was a hold-up point. And the bankers were all excited and going to sell this deal to everybody. And behind the scenes, they didn't have permission to take water into the base, process it, and take it out. The government has never allowed anyone to do that. So until that happens, they haven't got, Sandwich hasn't, or the Kennedy group doesn't have a chance in hell of using that septic system. They're doing all sorts of other fancy little things, but the question is the federal government going to allow them to process water on the base and take it off the base again?
Because in the past, the processing that was done was just done on the base, right?
That's all it is.
Oh,
Okay,
So if
and the
anybody
company
else-
that has the license to run that operation now is the license is on the base. It has nothing to do with off-base processing.
right. That impacts Falmouth, but it also impacts Sandwich.
Yeah,
Okay.
We'll ask,
interesting.
I believe he's gonna be at the meeting as well for the, all the sewer operators, because that's what he's proposing to do, so. I saw his name on the email list, so I'll ask him if he's there. If not, I'll reach out to him.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Are there any other issues that any of you would like to raise? Okay. Then may I have a motion?
Go ahead.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you all for your time. Thank you, Jerry.